What happens when the man who signs the checks realizes he wouldn't last a week working under his own management? Landon Zeke leaned back in his office chair, rubbing his temples. He had inherited the 13-location burger chain from his father 3 years ago. Since then, sales had been steady, but lately, complaints were trickling in: wrong orders, long wait times, rude staff. Nothing serious enough to make headlines, but enough to make Landon feel off. He flipped through a stack of printed customer emails, each one flagged by corporate. One caught his eye, a note from a regular at the South Pines location, saying the crew seemed overwhelmed, and one worker in particular was always there, always tired but still polite. He didn't recognize the name mentioned. That wasn't rare. He'd never personally met most of the frontline staff. His dad used to say, "You can't run a place you've never worked in." Landon figured it was time he stopped pretending he knew what was really going on. He called in his assistant. "Set me up to work a week at South Pines. Make sure no one there knows who I am." His disguise was simple but effective. Grew out the beard, wore thick-rimmed glasses, and dyed his light brown hair darker. He used the name Kyle. The manager at South Pines, a sharp-faced guy named Brett, didn't even blink when he walked in. "New trainee, huh?" Brett said. "We're down 2 night shift guys, so you'll be on closing crew all week." Landon nodded. "Sounds good." The kitchen was small, loud, hot. The moment he stepped behind the counter, he felt like a fish out of water. The systems were clunky, the headset constantly buzzed, and the fryers hissed non-stop. But what caught his attention was the woman working the grill. She had her dark curls pinned up, a name tag that read Farrah, and a rhythm that made everything around her seem slower. She moved fast, called out orders, and somehow managed to be patient with everyone. "Hey, new guy," she said without looking up. "Don't let Brett dump the whole shift on you. He's got a habit." Landon chuckled. Noted. By the end of the night, his shirt was soaked through with grease and sweat. Brett had vanished halfway through the dinner rush, leaving Farrah and 2 teens scrambling to keep up. Landon tried to help, but he slowed them down more than anything. After close, Farrah stayed behind, wiping down the counters while the others clocked out. "You always stay this late?" Landon asked, scrubbing the fryer. Farrah shrugged. "Someone's gotta do it. If I don't, it's a mess the next day. Why not let Brett handle it?" She gave him a look. "Brett? He's got a bad back, remember? Only acts up when there's actual work." They both laughed, but Landon felt a pit form in his stomach. The manager had barely lifted a finger all night. Farrah had done double the work and was still here cleaning. The next day, Brett barked orders at the crew while spending most of the shift in the office. Landon watched as Farrah stepped up again, helping everyone, coaching the new cashier, even covering someone's break. "Farrah, you mind staying an extra hour?" Brett asked as the shift ended. She hesitated. "I've got to pick up my son. It's just an hour." "Come on, we're short." "I'll figure it out," she said quietly. Landon caught her wiping her eyes in the walk-in freezer 10 minutes later. "You okay?" he asked, pretending to organize boxes. She nodded, but her voice cracked. "Just tired. Long week. Is your son okay?" She smiled weakly. "He's good. 7 years old. His name's Tyler. He waits with my neighbor when I work late. I hate putting that on her, but I can't afford to lose hours." Landon didn't say anything. He just stood there, gripping a box of frozen fries like it was the only thing keeping his thoughts together. That night he sat in his car for nearly an hour after the shift, watching Farrah walk across the dark parking lot alone. No car. Just her hoodie pulled tight, her head down. He didn't sleep well. Something about watching her keep this place running while getting little in return, it hit him harder than he expected. The next few days, the pattern repeated. Brett disappeared, Farrah picked up the slack. She clocked in early, stayed late, never complained. She brought in a birthday cupcake for a coworker. Covered a shift when the high schooler called out. Even gave a customer a refund out of her own tips when the register froze. Landon was starting to realize something. Farrah wasn't just a good worker, she was the reason this store hadn't fallen apart. And no one seemed to care. At the end of his 5th shift, Brett threw him a nod. "You ain't bad, Kyle. Still slow, but you make less noise than the others." Farrah smiled as she passed. "Hang in there. You'll get used to it." Landon smiled back, but inside, he felt sick. He wasn't going to get used to it. He was going to fix it. Landon returned to South Pines the next evening, this time arriving 15 minutes before his shift. He didn't go inside right away. Instead, he parked across the lot and watched. Farrah was already there, standing outside the back door, tying her apron while balancing a coffee in one hand and a worn spiral notebook in the other. She flipped through a few pages, then tucked it away before heading inside. Landon noticed the limp in her left leg, subtle but present, as she walked. It wasn't there yesterday. Inside, the kitchen was already buzzing. The adolescent cashier, Jenna, was trying to fix the touchscreen register while a prep worker argued about missing produce. "Tomatoes didn't come again," the prep worker said. "That's 3 deliveries in a row." "Not my problem," Brett muttered from the office doorway, sipping a drink. "Make it work." Farrah emerged from the walk-in with a crate of lettuce and didn't look up. "We're out of pickles too," she said. "And the grill cleaner's down to fumes." "It'll last," Brett replied, disappearing back into the office. Landon clocked in and joined the line. Tonight, he was on the fry station, which sounded easy until the orders started stacking up. His headset buzzed with drive-through orders, and the fryer began to lag. When he flagged it, Farrah stepped in without hesitation. "Swap the oil. It's overdue," she told him, grabbing gloves. "Shouldn't someone else? No one else knows how." "I'll do it." Oil change meant shutting the fryer down for almost 10 minutes. During that time, orders piled up, voices rose, and Jenna was on the edge of panic. Brett didn't reappear. Farrah, with gloves already on, gave Landon a look. "Grab a broom. Keep the lobby moving. I'll cover both lines." He obeyed and moved to the front, sweeping up a spilled drink and throwing out a tray left behind. Customers were growing impatient. One man at the counter raised his voice. "I've been waiting 20 minutes for 2 burgers. What is this?" Jenna tried to explain, but her voice shook. "We're just backed up, I don't care." "Where's your manager?" Landon stepped forward. "He's in the office. I can grab him." "No need," a voice cut in. Farrah, carrying 2 trays. "Your order's here, sir." "Sorry for the delay. Fries are fresh, drinks are topped. We had some equipment downtime." The man narrowed his eyes. "You the manager?" "No, sir." "But I'll make sure it doesn't happen again." She handed him the trays, and he left without another word. Jenna exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for hours. Later, during a lull, Landon leaned near Farrah as she wiped sauce bottles. "You always end up stepping in like that." She didn't look up. "Somebody has to. You ever think about applying for a manager role?" She paused. "I did. Twice." "What happened?" "Brett misplaced my paperwork the first time. Second time, corporate said they never got it." Landon felt something shift in his chest. "You ever talk to anyone higher up?" She shook her head. "Doesn't matter. I'm not what they're looking for." "What does that mean?" Farrah hesitated. "Brett told me once that I don't look the part. Said I'm too rough around the edges for a leadership role." Landon blinked. "Did you report that?" She gave a dry laugh. "To who?" "Him?" The dinner rush hit hard. Orders came in nonstop, and a third of the POS system crashed mid-shift. Jenna started writing orders by hand. Farrah coordinated the flow like she was conducting an orchestra. She directed traffic, handed out drinks, and corrected 2 orders before they left the counter, all while working the grill. Brett re-emerged when the rush ended, stretching like he'd woken from a nap. "Good work, team," he said, grabbing a soda. Real smooth night. Farrah didn't respond. She was too busy scraping burnt cheese from the grill. When the last customer left, Jenna leaned on the counter, exhausted. Can I go home? She asked. You were supposed to stay for close, Brett said, not checking the schedule. I worked a double yesterday. I traded with Marcus. Farrah stepped in. She's right. I saw the change. Brett rolled his eyes. Fine. But next time, clear it with me. Jenna left, and Brett followed her out, probably to smoke. Landon caught Farrah massaging her wrist with one hand. You all right? It's just tendinitis. Comes and goes. You should get that checked. Can't afford to take time off. I already lost a shift last week 'cause Brett said we were over hours. Landon grabbed a towel and started wiping down the back counter. Why does he cut hours if we're always short? Because it makes the numbers look better. Corporate doesn't see the chaos. Just the labor reports. Later that night, Farrah brought out the trash cart alone. Landon followed her to the dumpster behind the building. The alley was dim, lit only by the flicker of a broken light. You shouldn't be out here alone, he said. I've done worse. She hefted the trash bags into the bin, then paused, arms resting on the lid. I used to want more than this, she said, eyes distant. I thought if I worked hard enough, someone would notice. But I'm not 20 anymore. I've got a kid, bills, no time for dreams. Landon didn't know what to say. He just stood there, watching her in the dim light, wondering how many people like her were quietly holding up his company. The next day, he arrived even earlier. Farrah was already inside, repairing a broken mop handle with duct tape. When Landon stepped in, she handed him a list. Opening checklist. Brett's not in yet. 20 minutes passed. No Brett. At exactly 10 past the hour, he showed up, sunglasses on, holding a breakfast sandwich. You're late, Farrah said. He waved her off. Had to stop by my cousin's. You handle everything? She nodded. We're stocked and prepped. Good. I've got admin stuff to do. Don't bug me unless something's on fire. He vanished into the office again. By noon, the dining room was full. A customer flagged Landon down. Restroom's out of soap, she said. He checked. Not just soap, no paper towels, and the lock on one stall was broken. He told Farrah, who grabbed the supply key and fixed it herself while also handling 3 mobile orders. That afternoon, a delivery guy brought in boxes and asked for a signature. Landon reached for the clipboard. You can't sign, the driver said. Only manager. Farrah emerged from the back, wiped her hands, and signed. You've got authority for that? Landon asked. Technically, no. But Brett told the suppliers to just take my signature 'cause he's usually busy. At closing, Brett finally joined them, holding a clipboard. I'll do inventory tonight. You guys can clean. Farrah didn't respond, but Landon noticed her jaw tighten. She moved slower than usual tonight, favoring her left side more than before. After the store was locked, Brett pulled Farrah aside. You didn't rotate the freezer stock before delivery, he said. I did, she said flatly. Check the labels. Brett leaned in. You're getting sloppy. No. You're not paying attention. You want to watch your tone. Landon stepped in. She's right. I saw her do it earlier. Brett turned to him. You saw nothing. You've been here 5 minutes. Farrah stepped between them. Don't talk to him like that. Brett scoffed. You gonna tell me how to manage my store now? This isn't your store, she said. You just hide in it. Brett's face darkened. Try that again, and I'll cut your shifts. Landon pulled out his phone. Maybe try that with someone else's name on their paychecks. Brett blinked. What? I'm not Kyle, Landon said. My name's Landon Zeke. I own this company. The room went silent. Farrah's eyes widened, but she didn't say anything. Brett laughed nervously. Come on. You're kidding. Landon didn't smile. No. And you're done here. Right now. You can't fire me, I just did. Brett stood frozen, then stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Landon turned to Farrah. I'm sorry it took me this long to see all this. She looked at him, stunned. You're really him? He nodded. And tomorrow, we're going to start fixing everything. But tonight, go home. I'll close up. She hesitated. Then, for the first time since he met her, she looked like the weight had shifted off her shoulders just a little. I'll see you tomorrow, Landon. He watched her leave, then turned to the empty store. He wasn't done. This was just the beginning. When Landon walked into South Pines the next morning, the crew was already looking around unsure of what to expect. Word had spread fast. Brett was gone. No one knew exactly why, but they knew it had something to do with the quiet new fry cook who turned out to be the owner. Farrah was in the back, restocking paper goods with Jenna. She looked over as he entered, her expression unreadable. You're early, she said. So are you, Landon replied. Neither of them smiled, but neither looked away either. The weight of the previous night still hung between them, heavy but honest. I asked someone from HR to come down, he said. And I'm staying the week. Not undercover this time. She nodded slowly. Are you going to bring in someone from another store to manage? I'm not sure yet, he said. Depends what we find. They didn't speak again until the morning rush picked up. Landon stayed out of the way, observing. Orders moved slower than usual. Without Brett to sign off on manual voids or approve drawer corrections, there were snags. Farrah kept things from collapsing, but it was obvious she was spread thin again. By mid-afternoon, the HR rep arrived. Her name was Melissa, and she carried a notepad like a shield. Landon introduced her to each crew member, then pulled her aside. We need to review Brett's hiring, conduct, and shift logs, he said. And I want to speak with every employee, starting today. Melissa adjusted her glasses. Do you have cause for formal investigation? I've got more than enough, he said. Start with Jenna. While Melissa got started, Landon joined Farrah in the kitchen. She was recalibrating the sandwich station timers, something he didn't even know was possible. Where'd you learn that? He asked. Online forums, she said. Some of the other franchise workers post hacks for the old systems. You do that often? Only when something's broken and no one's sent to fix it. He leaned on the prep table. How long have you been doing everyone's job but your own? She gave a small shrug. I stopped counting. When the dinner rush hit, Landon stayed on the floor. He watched as a customer complained that his burger was missing toppings. Farrah remade it without hesitation. Then a delivery order came in wrong. Jenna had input the code backwards. The driver called the store, annoyed. Farrah diffused it in under a minute. Where's the order log? Landon asked once it calmed down. In the drawer with the print tape, Farrah said. Why? I want to see how many corrections we've made this week. They pulled the drawer and reviewed the slips. Farrah pointed to several voids marked system error and manual override short-staffed. Brett was changing these after the fact, she said. He didn't want corporates seeing how many problems we had. Landon looked at her. And you knew? I tried to fix what I could. But I can't sign off on the back-end changes. Melissa returned just before close. She pulled Landon aside. Brett's file is a mess, she said. No performance reviews in over a year. Several complaints logged under customer service but never escalated. And 2 formal promotion requests from Farrah that were marked incomplete. Landon's jaw tightened. Anything else? Payroll records show that Brett averaged 5 fewer hours on the clock than what was logged in the scheduler. We're checking for time theft now. Get legal involved, he said. If he doctored hours, we're filing. Melissa nodded and left to make calls. Landon stayed behind, helping mop the lobby. Farrah looked over, surprised. You don't have to do that. I know. But I want to. She stared at him for a moment, then handed him the second mop. After lock-up, they sat outside on the curb. The sky was dark now, the air cooling. I found your name in the list of skipped evaluations, he said. You were due for a raise last year. I figured, she said. But I stopped asking. Why? Because asking meant giving Brett another reason to remind me I didn't fit the mold. Landon turned to her. What did he mean by that, exactly? Farrah hesitated. He told me once that I looked like I belonged in the back, not out front. Said I didn't have the customer-friendly polish. Landon didn't respond right away. He was too busy trying to keep his hands from shaking. I'm sorry, he finally said. That's not just wrong, it's illegal. I knew that, she said. But when you're raising a kid and barely scraping by, filing complaints feels like a luxury. He looked at her, finally seeing everything that had been right in front of him. Farrah, I need your help. Not as a crew lead. As someone who knows this place better than anyone. She raised an eyebrow. What kind of help? I want to rebuild this store's structure. From the ground up. I need someone who's lived it, not someone who's studied it. I'm not a manager, she said. No, he said. You're more than that. But that's where we'll start. She didn't answer right away. Just looked at the empty parking lot, then back at him. I'll think about it. The next morning, Landon came in early again. This time, with a clipboard of his own. He pulled the entire crew into the dining area before open. I owe all of you something, he said. This place has been running on your backs, and I've been blind to it. That ends today. They listened, quiet but attentive. There's going to be a new manager. We're opening applications internally first. Anyone can apply. I'll be reviewing them personally. He looked at Farrah briefly, then back to the group. Also, we're starting a rotating schedule that guarantees no one works more than 5 consecutive days without break. Overtime will be tracked accurately, and all supply issues will be logged and escalated immediately. Jenna raised her hand. What about when we're short-staffed? I'm bringing in 2 floaters from nearby locations. Just until we're caught up. When the crew dispersed, Farrah approached him. You're serious about the internal application? I am. And if I apply? You'll be interviewed. Same as anyone else. But I'd be lying if I said you didn't have a head start. She smiled, not out of flattery, but relief. Later that week, Landon sat across from her in the back office. She wore her cleanest uniform, hair pulled back, her notebook on the table. You ready? He asked. Let's do it, she said. He opened the folder. Tell me what this store needs. Her answer came without hesitation. Accountability. Consistency. And someone who backs the crew instead of hiding from them. He leaned forward. And how do you give that? By showing up. Every shift. Every problem. Not to fix it all myself, but to build a team that knows they're not alone. He paused. You ever run inventory systems? I taught myself the basics. I can learn the rest. Payroll? I've seen the process. I'd need access. He nodded. You'll get it. She looked at him then. Not as an employee to a boss, but as someone who was finally being seen. You sure I'm what this place needs? I've never been more sure of anything. A week had passed since the night Landon revealed who he really was. South Pines still ran tight, but the atmosphere had shifted. Conversations were less guarded. Tasks got done faster, not because anyone worked less hard, but because they weren't working in fear. Farrah came in early again, but this time, she wasn't alone. A new hire named Luis followed her through the back door, wide-eyed and quiet. He was barely 19, fresh out of high school, and nervous about working his first real job. Farrah showed him how to stock the prep line without rushing him or rolling her eyes. She corrected his grip on the lettuce slicer with a calm tone, never once raising her voice. Landon stood by the soda machine, watching from a distance. He wasn't undercover anymore, but he didn't need to step in. Farrah had it under control. "Good morning," Alyssa said, walking in with 2 folders. "Payroll audits done. We also finished the internal promotion interviews." Landon took the folders. "Anything I should worry about?" She shook her head. "No discrepancies in the last 7 days. System stabilizing. The floaters you brought in made a huge difference." He glanced at the prep line. "Time to make the permanent changes." He waited until the store closed for the night before calling a staff meeting. The crew gathered in the dining area, tired but curious. Jenna leaned against a booth. Louise sat near the condiment station. Farrah stood near the back, arms folded, still in her apron. Landon stepped forward. "I want to thank all of you. I came in here thinking I understood this business. I didn't. Not really. But I've learned more in the last 10 days than in the last 10 years. He opened the top folder. "First, I'm making a change to how we do leadership at this location. Going forward, no one will be promoted based on favoritism, image, or who they happen to know. It'll be based on results, consistency, and how you treat people." He turned to Farrah. "You applied for the manager role. Your file had more real-world problem-solving than most district leads. You trained 3 new hires this week while running the kitchen and correcting inventory issues. And you did it without losing your head once." She blinked slowly, but said nothing. "You're not just getting the job," Landon continued. "You're getting full managerial authority, a salary bump, and discretion to build your own leadership team. Starting tomorrow." The room was still for a moment before Jenna clapped. Louise followed, then the others joined in. Farrah didn't smile, but her eyes flicked toward the floor like she was grounding herself before speaking. "I appreciate it," she said. "But I need 2 things before I accept." Landon nodded. "Go ahead." "First, I want one of the open kitchen lead positions to go to Marcus. He's part-time now, but he's reliable and knows the systems better than most." "Done," Landon replied. "Second, I want to replace the outdated fryer. It's burned 3 batches this week, and no one's fixed it." "Already ordered," he said. "It'll be here by Friday." Farrah nodded once, then finally let herself sit down at the nearest table. After the meeting, Landon stayed behind to help clean up. Farrah was gathering the leftover paperwork from the staff meeting when he walked over with a box of old training manuals. "You really want to keep these?" he asked. She flipped one open, scanned the outdated illustrations, and shook her head. "They still talk about cash drawers like we're in the 90s. He tossed them into the recycling bin. "I'm not going back to the office," he said. "Not until every store's been audited, every complaint reviewed." She looked up. "You're going to do this again?" "With every location." Farrah took a breath, then spoke carefully. "There's something I didn't mention during the interview. Okay. When I first applied here, I wasn't just looking for a job. I was trying to get out of a shelter. Tyler was too. I was working back shifts and sleeping in my car between them." Landon didn't interrupt. He just listened. "Most days I was invisible. But I knew if I could just stay on the schedule, eventually I'd be able to rent a room. Then a studio. Then daycare." She paused, then looked him in the eye. "I built my life one shift at a time. I don't say that for pity. I say it because I know what it feels like to be overlooked. I won't let that happen to anyone here again." "You won't have to," he said. She nodded once, then got up to lock the front door. 2 weeks later, South Pines ran smoother than it had in years. The fryer had been replaced. A new scheduling system allowed staff to submit changes through their phones. Marcus received his promotion and took over mid-shift training. Jenna stayed on weekends only, balancing her classes, and Louise was now confident enough to manage the grill during lunch rush without needing help. Landon visited less frequently but stayed updated through Farrah's weekly reports, concise, direct, and filled with notes about staff performance and customer issues. No fluff. Just facts. One afternoon, he stopped by unannounced. Farrah was walking a customer through their receipt, double-checking a coupon error. Not because she had to, but because she believed in doing things right. After resolving it, she walked over to where Landon stood near the lobby entrance. "You checking up on me?" she asked. "Just passing through. Figured I'd see how my best manager's doing. Still figuring it out. But it's better." He nodded toward the team behind her. "They look different." "So do I," she said. "I sleep now." He laughed quietly. "You earned it." She paused for a moment, then added, "Tyler asked me the other day why I'm home more. I told him work changed. He said, 'Did you change it?' What did you say?" I said, "Not alone." Landon looked around the store. The lines moved efficiently, customers left with full orders, and the crew worked like they belonged there. "Let me know when you're ready to train store managers," he said. "Could use someone who's lived both sides." She thought for a moment, then nodded. "Give me 90 days. I'll have a system in place." Outside, the sun was setting, casting a warm golden light over the storefront. Landon stood there for a minute, watching through the glass as Farrah walked Louise through the new shift checklist. She didn't just run the store, she steadied it. And for the first time in a long time, he felt like he was running a company worth owning.